Hello, friends. It's Pat here. So this week we're doing a deep dive into. Oh, someone's calling me. I'll call him back. We're doing a deep dive into Forever Halloween and the making of that record and kind of what our headspace was. We just kind of hop into it and start talking about it. So here it is. I hope you enjoy the conversation.
Ew.
What's that key?
Is this C? I think every harmonica is C.
Everyone.
Oh, yeah, C. Just kidding. Every harmonica is not C.
Yeah, I was
That's a
thinking.
nice harmonica.
I
What?
was just thinking about when I went to pee because we were talking about like beginning to record this, and I was thinking like most times we go to make a record, there's not really like one day that like changes the course of the entire record. You know, usually it's like many days spent talking about it and then like writing and pre-pro, and then it like everything like changes and like evolves, you know?
Over time.
Yeah, over time.
Yes.
But I was thinking about for Forever Halloween, how when we met with Ryan Adams and how that is the reason that record is the way it is
Yes.
for the most part.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. And it's crazy.
He was supposed to make that record.
Yeah, which is crazy. So, what initially he had sent? I can hear that.
It's fine. Sorry.
Stop fucking fidgeting, man.
You're spinning.
I know, but I'm not touching the mic. You know.
Whatever.
He sent a tweet about a fan posted a tweet about us and he responded to it.
No, you want to know what happened?
It has to do with Halvo.
Yes. So, Halvo was in
originally,
Australia.
yeah.
With Rocket.
Yeah.
And he was there.
Yeah.
And Halvo went up to go like say like he liked him and asked for a photo. And then he was like in some conversation and was like
like
bummed.
like a deep conversation about like a friend who had like passed away or something.
Yeah. And was bummed. And then Halvo was like, that was a bummer. And like tweeted that was like a bummer.
Yeah.
So a bunch of fans started like tweeting at him.
Attacking Ryan Adams, calling him an asshole.
Yeah. And then somehow someone must have tagged me with it, and that was his way of connecting and say, hey, tell Halvo. He sent me a direct message. Tell Halvo I said sorry or something.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? This is fucking bizarre.
I mean, and then he was levying like your favorite singer.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah.
And it quickly went from that to, hey, I have a studio in L.A. Come by, let's make a record. I was like, what? How did this happen?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
And then we're on the Pioneer tour.
Yeah, we're at the
Is that the
Grove of Anaheim, yeah. And we rented a car, and us and Tim drove out, and we went to Paxam.
Yeah.
And we weren't sure because he really wasn't talking much about making a record beforehand.
No.
He would just like come
to the studio,
come check out the spot.
And we were like, what is this? What does that mean?
Yeah, which we were just so excited to see it.
Yeah.
And we walk in and it's just like literally the coolest place ever. And I think that really like sparked my like romantic feelings towards recording studios. I feel like, you know, like I love being around it.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing more like magical to me than like,
well, because you feel like you're a god.
You can do anything.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And be bizarre.
Yeah.
But yeah, met with him there, and then by the end, well, he said some crazy shit like, what did he say about porn?
Well, yeah, no. So like we walked around. He like gave us a tour of the whole spot, and then he started like.
He had the gold,
slowly
the American flag from gold,
yeah,
hanging up in the rehearsal room.
Yeah. It was like becoming clearer and clearer as he was giving us the tour that he was like trying to pitch us on like he wanted to record us.
Yeah.
And we're just like, oh my God, like yes, of course, you know.
Yeah.
And so yeah, over time, you know, we were just talking, and yeah, he started talking about how he records and how
we went to lunch, and he was like, "Well, like, what do you guys like listening to?" And at the time, I think Some Girls from the Stones was like,
yeah,
everyone was like fucking like that was
our favorite album, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, "Let's make that record." And we're like, "Huh?"
What? So we just make like our version of that? He's like, yeah.
And we're like, "Oh,
yeah." So then we went back to the studio, and he you know, he starts telling us about all the different gear. You know, he had this piece of gear. It's like a compressor, and he was saying that like he could have bought a yacht, but instead he bought that.
It's like, yeah, that's Neil Young's. I could have bought a boat for that.
Yeah.
Like,
and then he started talking about the tape machines, and like I guess this is really where the story becomes a part of what happened for Halloween. But he said computers, you can send an email to check in with your mom, you can watch porn on it, but a tape machine is only meant to make music, and so he's gonna go for that instead. He's gonna
use that tool.
Yeah.
And then I see Pat's eyes just going, this all makes sense, and the gears are going. And then all of a sudden...
So from that point on, it was like, okay, that's how we're making a record. This is how our favorite records are made.
Yeah. And
we're gonna do that. Because that was so far like removed from what we had ever done.
Well, in our heads, it was always like, something we wanted to do, because it was like, oh, band, that's what they used to do, and like, and in our heads, it was just like, oh, that's what cool bands do.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Not knowing the process of it and how difficult it is, or any of it. You're just like, yeah, we'll just do it like that.
Yeah. And so so like we'd been talking to him then, and he wanted to make a record, and just like he's a scatterbrained dude, as I'm sure he would admit to, and just.
I think he wanted to do it like the next week, and we're like, dude, we have no songs. He's
yeah.
Like, well, write them.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So just like the timing just didn't work out. Like we just didn't feel comfortable making it like right then, and making it in like 10 days and all this stuff like he like would have wanted to do. And
but we would have had one of the best songwriters of the past 20 years in the room. Could have helped a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, that didn't work out, which was a bummer. So then I kind of went on a hunt to, then I had the idea in my head of like, oh man, like all right, working with like an artist is like the way to do it then, because like every other producer we worked with, it is not like a guy that's active in a band. It's just like a guy that makes albums all day for other bands. So we were just banging our heads against the wall for a long time, and I don't usually partake in marijuana, but I did that night. We were in Nashville, and I was just hanging out in my bunk, just like going through my iPod. I had an iPod at the time, and Brendan Benson popped up and we are all huge fans of the Raconteurs.
Yeah.
And thought those records were just incredible.
Well, and it didn't seem like it was just Jack White.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, oh, Brendan has like a
huge part
like
in this.
Equal
Yeah.
part of this super band. And we knew his solo stuff and whatnot too. So it was like, but it wasn't like, you know, we were the most massive fans of his solo stuff. But
yeah, I mean, I just remember. I mean, do you remember? I like walked out of my bunk, and like you guys were all just like hanging in the back lounge, I think, and I was just like,
Brendan Benson.
I'm
like, whoa, that's interesting. And like, cause I think at that point you'd already looked at he had like
he had like he
worked
had
with
a
bands and had a spot,
and he recorded to tape and like all the cool stuff that.
And we're
that
like,
we wanted.
that seems impossible.
And I think we got an email back like the same day.
Yeah.
Which doesn't happen. And yeah, he was down to do it.
Yeah. And then
that was crazy.
and
then
started writing.
Yeah, we started writing songs, and I mean, I'm trying to think like, do you remember what like headspace we were at during that time? Like what our mission was like.
It was definitely. I feel like most don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I remember feeling like we weren't really aiming for anything besides to just make a cool record for ourselves.
Yeah.
Like,
and I guess that's what I mean. Like,
yeah,
don't give a fuck, but
what anybody else would think or anything like that.
Yeah, and it was like right when John started playing piano, like,
mm-hmm.
and so I think that influenced a lot of it.
Yeah.
It's like Take What You Can Carry. Like originally sounded like this like Silverchair song. It was like really like piano driven, and I think it was like one of the first ones we worked on.
Yeah.
And then like These Four Words was like I think around for a while,
yeah.
or at least Forever Holding the Song was just piano. Yeah. So it was like a lot of piano based things, and I think it kind of like shaped the feeling, like because at that point it was all guitar, like all
before that, yeah,
all guitar
everything
stuff.
Can be written on guitar.
You know, he could kind of like poke around on a piano, but like this was like he's like a pretty good piano player now, and so it just kind of and piano does this thing. It's like instantly moody, and I think that's kind of like molded the whole record to what it ended up being. So it's like the dark tone through the whole thing
comes from those chords.
Yeah, it comes from different version. Like you play piano different than you play guitar.
Yeah.
And so like
and then when you translate a piano song onto guitar, it still kind of keeps some of that.
Yeah.
Like some of the chord changes and stuff we would just never have
done.
And we wouldn't do again, you know. It and like Brendan had, you know, once we actually got into record, he also kind of kept that going, you know.
Yeah.
So I just feel like I mean, we were just kind of writing and we weren't really we didn't have a clear vision. It was just kind of like, let's write songs that we think are cool.
Yeah.
And so then we went we drove out to Nashville. I mean, and then what, we got there and the first day, what do you remember from that?
I remember
because it's like the first time that we had met him. You know, we only talked to him on the phone once, and I think it was only like me and John maybe on the call.
Yeah,
and so we didn't really have a clear idea of like what the process was going to be like.
Yeah, you know, normally we do this thing called pre-production, which is usually a week or two of, usually around a week of just going over the songs and fixing them up. And picking which songs are going to make it on the record. Because we write, you know, a bunch of songs and then we pick. And so in our heads, we're going there, first week's going to be that. We just hadn't talked about it. first thing we come in there, we kind of go over some songs just to get a start. He hears Happy. Like, I don't even know if he heard the whole fucking song. He's like, oh, that's cool. He's like, let's do that one. And we're like, okay.
What do you mean do that?
Yeah. And so he starts setting up the drums, miking it up. We're all in this one room. It started with us all in one room. Yeah. Like, John's vocal mic was in the same room as
and like
your drum set.
He had some like mic. It was like a broadcaster mic from like the 60s or something that he said like they used to use like during like a thunderstorm. So it would like block out a lot of the outside noise.
Yeah.
So he was trying to see if
it would work.
If it would block out enough of like the drums and stuff.
And so we're like halfway setting up how to record, and then the other half, like, he pulls a fucking acoustic out and is like, let's start working on it. And then we're like figuring out the fucking song, and
we don't even know what we're doing. We don't even know, like, is this recording? Is this pre-pro? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then we're like slowly just like discovering that he's just like, no, this is how the song's being recorded.
Yeah, so I think there's probably one take where John's in the room with like cymbals going like in the mic, and quickly he was like, yeah, that's not gonna work.
So he put John out in the hallway,
and then amps and stuff. You know, I'm in this weird
in a closet or in like a back room or whatever.
Yeah, and then so we start fucking
bathroom
hatching out this song like as we're recording it. So it's like fucking, hey, skip the beat there. What do you call it? What the
skip the beat. Yeah,
which is really cool.
Yeah,
and I remember him saying that, and you're like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
and they did it. It was like, oh, that's cool. It's a cool little trick.
Yeah,
and then that's pretty much all he said on that song. Besides then, and then like we fucking just do it, and we get done. It's probably 11:30 at night or midnight. We just get fucking like twisted into this thing.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh yeah, done. And I remember getting in the van and us not really saying anything.
Yeah.
And then
we're
we get
in
to
the elevator.
We get to the elevator.
And
it kind of like breaks the silence, like, yo, that kind of fucking was weird.
Yeah.
And we're all like, yeah, what just happened?
Yeah.
And so it's this like weird zone of like, well, maybe that was just he felt like the song was good enough. And we go in the next day, and he gets in his head, he's like, after every song I'm gonna rip out all the cables and we're gonna start fresh every day. And we're like, what is fucking happening? And then all of a sudden, you know, John has a piano in the fucking where his mic is, and we're recording everything at the same time. He's recording vocals while he's doing piano, as we're in the other room doing everything.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where we're like spending 7 hours you getting drum sounds of just like doom, doom, and then like 2 hours of me like getting a bass sound. And then he's a guitar player and like has all this cool shit, so he got guitar tones in like 13 minutes.
Yeah.
And then John was kind of just set up how he always been. So it was like so long of us to just
playing our instruments just to get the sounds. Yeah. And then it would probably be like closer to like probably like 9 p.m. by the time we actually so we would pick the song in the morning.
Yeah.
We would pick which song we were going to work on, and then we'd maybe grab like an acoustic guitar for like 2 minutes, and just he would be like, yeah, like that part's too long, that part's too short, like whatever. And then we'd start getting the bass and drum sounds for that, and that would take all day. And then by like 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. we'd start working out the new arrangement while we're playing live.
It's like, okay, this one's sad songs, do it.
and then we would just be like playing it, and then we'd be tracking it while we're figuring it out.
Yeah.
And like sometimes we'd play it like 4 or 5 times, and that would be it.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes we'd have to play it for a long time. I mean, I don't really remember having to do any like.
I mean, we didn't do. There's no way we did more than
7 takes of a song. Yeah.
Like, but then like, okay, so we would do maybe 3 takes of like. This happened on maybe like Kennedy Curse. I remember, where we had it like it was kind of heavy. It was like way more heavy, and we do it that way. And he was like, it just kind of sounds like a shitty indie band. And we're like, okay. And he's like, try a different way. And all of a sudden it turns into this weird like Coldplay thing. And then he's like, that's kind of closer to it. And then John's like, I remember John being like, yo, I don't like this.
Yeah.
And then it ended up in this weird mixture
Of the two, yeah.
of the two. And it was so strange. It was so bizarre. Because you really didn't have time to think about what you were doing.
No.
And it kind of, the cool thing about it was it let off the pressure of you playing it.
Yeah, because everybody was playing.
Yeah, everyone's playing. So if you kind of fuck up and you don't bring it up, it's there. And it like no one catches it. It's there.
And it's there, yeah.
And you're like, cool, I got away with that.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, I did that so many times.
Yeah, and it was it was
just about like how it felt. Like if the song felt right.
I mean, it was crazy. I mean, it was straight up 1974.
Yeah.
And he's on the fucking ground with his shirt off, smoking a cigarette. And, you know, we would do the take maybe third time or whatever. And, you know, he's not like reacting. So we're like, oh, I guess we'll do it again. And then, so, you know, go it. And then all of a sudden you just see his hand go up with a cigarette. And then it's like, that's the one. And then we come in and listen to it. And you're like, and in your head, you're listening back. You're not even like listening. You're just like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like,
and I mean, I think I just remember like being pretty amazed that like how good it sounded.
Oh yeah.
For like, you know, I mean, I guess for people that are listening, you know, to give more context of like, generally like we would overanalyze the song, you know, when we're making other albums, you know, we would sit with it and we would totally take apart the song until we had it completely perfect. And then I would record the drums for it. And then those drums would be like, you know, taken and, you know, you'd copy and paste like a fill from take 5 and I would put it on take
3
2 and, you know, you just mix it around and then you edit them to, you know, make them perfect. And then we record guitars for it and we do like 5 different guitar parts and then you put bass on it and then, you know, you do all these things and then John finally puts like vocals on at the end and he's gonna record each part 6 times and then we're gonna take out a couple words from one take and a couple words from the other and, you know, mix it all together and then there's harmonies and all this stuff. So it's more put together and there's more time
spent on it.
So
you get it what you think is perfect.
Yeah. And this was like literally, I mean, I know that like when we say we recorded it to tape and live, I mean, I know some people do that and they record like a couple instruments at once and then they overdub stuff. I mean, this was 100% live.
Yes.
Even John's vocals.
Yeah.
Even if there was a piano intro or an acoustic intro or something, we were just playing it.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably like 4 overdubs on the whole thing.
And then we'd go back and then we'd listen to it after the take and I mean, to me, it sounded like it does on the record, which sounds like a completed record. And we were just like, you know, at first we were like super nervous, and then it just became like the coolest thing in the world.
Oh yeah,
and like that's kind of like I was saying that like romantic like feeling that you have towards like the recording studio and like making music is what.
I mean,
that's what it's like. I mean,
one of the coolest things we did was the song "Forever Halloween."
Yeah.
It was we had not made the song. It was John had the verse and a chorus. And we just did it twice and then we're like, okay, we'll just like fade out the end or something. We'll just like figure out the end. And also we're just playing the end for like I don't know how long it ends up being, but I think we did the song 3 times. And so tape only it's like I think it's like 18 minutes or something that like is as long as the tape was. So when we first did it, we did it forever long, fucked up. Second time we like kind of got our bearings. The third time we just went and then at like what would have been 18 minutes on the tape, it stopped. That's why the record stops the way it does, is because we literally ran out of tape.
Yeah.
And we had no plan. It wasn't like, oh, like let's do this cool like tape thing because that's the way we record. It just happened. We're like, oh, that was cool.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. We'll keep that.
And it's just so abrupt and like out of nowhere. It was so funny, like, because that's like one of the coolest things, and it kind of puts that whole record into like perspective. Like that's what it was. It was like we did this whole thing this certain way, and the perfect way to actually end it was just happened, and just the tape going.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember these 4 words. That was a song that we didn't even have on the list of like songs to pick from. And one of the songs we were working on just wasn't working out. And John played that demo, and we were all just like, why haven't we been considering this for the album? Yeah. And then the next day, Brendan brought in a piano player, like a guy that he knew that was just like a great player, and they literally, John sat right next to him, and they did 2 takes. Yeah. And it was, I think this was the second take. Mm-hmm. Brendan really wanted the first take, but there was, because John had made some mistake in it that was cool, and I think we ended up going with the second one. But yeah, I mean, the record, it was just very like not overthought and just like pure, like this is, and really, I guess like the way the record comes out and the way it sounds at the end of the day is all that matters. Like the process in which it's made, that doesn't matter.
Well, it just but it differs.
Yeah, but it differs, and what this did is this allowed us to just expose a different part of our band. Because when we write songs, we don't really think of them as like finished, because we know we're going to take them in the studio and we're going to like rip them apart, and that's when we're going to finish them. So that's how we wrote the record, and then we didn't do that. Mm-hmm. We just recorded them like that. So, I mean, they're complete songs. It's just we didn't overanalyze them. Yeah. So that, I think that's a part of the like appeal of the record.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, because even now, I don't know if we could do it like that again. I mean, we could. Yeah, but no, we could. I know we're like,
it just would we want to?
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess we get very bored of like the same process and the same way of things, which is why we like to record with a lot of different people, or if we are going to record with the same person, like we have with Colby, we're trying to like change the constraints in which we have to make the record and change the place we're recording it and the equipment and all that stuff.
I think of anything that it needed to happen, because I think it was like in our heads, it was like stamping okay, we're a fucking band. Yeah. Like,
we're like not a produced band. We can just fucking play.
Yeah, and like it was,
because we came from, I think our era of bands when we came up, at least from like other bands at least that were like a little bit older maybe, it was seen as like we were a band that got popular on the internet, on MySpace, which was,
I mean, some probably
like,
viewed us as a boy band.
That's what I was going to
with guitars.
It's like, we were kind of like, we got popular on the internet. We were probably one of the first batch of bands that happened to. We wore matching outfits. We all kind of had the same haircut. We, had kind of a polished, sound on certain stuff. But that was just what we were doing. I mean, we weren't writing songs with other people. We were just like, we liked, that's, we're kind of doing the same shit now with wearing the matching suits and stuff. It's like, that's just what we were into, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of felt like that, like, stigma had always been on us, you know. And not that we, like, should have really cared, but I guess we did, and we let, you know, that kind of insecurity come to us. And I think, like, Forever Halloween was us getting rid of that, you know, and us, like, even just for ourselves, you know, just, like, saying, like, fuck it, like, this is, like, no, like, look, like, we're a fucking band, and like, we don't care, like, we're not making records for the intention of, I think I remember one of the things that I would always talk about around then is, like, when people would ask us, like, why our sound, like, has changed, like, so much between records, is that, like, I thought that bands, and I guess I still do, is, like, bands that try to make their first record again, they're only doing that to try to make money or to try to be popular. Because that would be the only reason you would want to do that. It would be weird to be 27 versus 18 and to be still just trying to do the same thing. You know, it's like you grow so much, or you should, during that time, and you're exposed to new music and new things in life.
Yeah.
So the type of record you should make should change, and we felt like we were just staying true to that, which I think that we were, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you don't, like, I mean, when you're 17, like, you don't like the same shit when you're 25.
Yeah.
That's just impossible.
So we were just going along with that, and that seemed to be so different when most of our peers were trying to recreate what they
fuck!
had.
Not as many people like us anymore. Not as many people are coming to shows.
Let's go make the first record again.
Go back with the guy who made the first one and
do the same thing.
Exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I've never, like, see, for me, even growing up, like, okay, there's a record in particular that I remember, like, people fucking being pissed about. Remember Finch?
Mm-hmm.
So What Is the Burn was, like, a big deal.
Yeah.
And people fucking loved that record. They were huge. And then they made that second record, Say Hello to Sunshine, and people fucking hated it.
Yeah.
And, like, just, like, boom, and they just went, and they crashed. And I remember when it came out, I was like, fucking really cool, pumped. I was like, this is so cool. So, like, I never understood the, like, the change thing, like, affecting it. Like, I that never, like, that was never there for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I've always had a hard time. It's like when they don't change, like, that's when I give up on bands, is when they do the thing you're talking about. Is like,
let's make the same record again.
Well, you know, like, they'll make something kind of, like, different and push the boundaries on the second one, and then, like, it fucking, or, you know, whatever, second or whatever, they do it, and then they go it doesn't do well, and then when they go back the next one, and it just sounds so fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, I don't like this band anymore. Like, I know this is a lie. It's a bummer.
Yeah.
But it's exactly what it's like, oh, not as many people, like, I'm not invited to the cool party anymore.
Yeah.
Like, oh, those people aren't coming to, the cool people aren't coming to my shows anymore. Yeah. When, like, if you just kept, I mean, that's what happened to us.
Yeah.
And we just kept doing stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think, like, Forever Halloween, like, was that, like, turning point of, like, hey, now we've proved ourselves. Now we don't give a shit what anybody says.
Yeah.
You know? And I remember, you know, we were just so excited about how we did it and excited about the process. We felt so, the confidence that we gained while making that record, you know, was huge.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it changed the everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it made us confident to go make a pop song and, like, us do it and be, like, pumped.
Yeah, and, like,
you know,
do it
like,
cool, yeah.
Like, and it's like, oh, this is cool because we're doing it right.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, like, the fact that, like, a song like Am I Pretty came out on the next record is, I mean, it was, like, awesome. Like, it's cool. Like, it was, like, it's crazy.
Yeah. And that, So yeah, so I mean, we.
But it wasn't a reaction of like, oh, people didn't like Forever Halloween, because I think
No.
people did like it.
Yeah, and you know, so we finished the record, and Colby, who had recorded Pioneer and mixed Pioneer, we had him do all the mixing on it, and you know, I sent it to Brendan once he was done, and I think, you know, he sent me an email back and he said, "Sounds modern," and that's the only thing he said. We haven't seen him since.
John's talked to him.
John's texted with him a couple times, but yeah, I don't think he's very happy with that part of it. But we knew that that's how we liked records to sound, I guess. So, you know, we wanted it to be big and to be loud and stuff, even though it was recorded in that fashion. You know, I mean, we didn't, like, Colby didn't, he couldn't edit anything because everything was recorded at the same time.
Like, why is there why is there only 4 mics on the drum set?
Yeah.
Everything's blended. I can only do so much.
Yeah. But
that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that record, I mean, I don't know how you feel, but, you know, at first, when we first started touring on that record, I guess like most of the touring on that record was a little more challenging than anything else that we had done before. It felt like, I mean, like, we were coming into our own as like this new thing, you know, we were coming into our own as like the post-Pioneer, you know, like the chapter of our band, and you know, it was taking people a longer time to react to the songs.
I think still.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's got big roots.
Yeah.
And I think
and I mean, people love the album, and I guess it kind of took us a little bit to realize that, and it took us a while to you know, when you're going out there and you're playing songs and it feels like they're not going over like you would have hoped, you know, you get frustrated by that.
But I think somewhere in there, the fact of us not perfecting it, like the songs, has like skewed it for us. Probably.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I think that in our heads there was more potential in like everything. Every song in that record.
But
it needed more.
But it didn't.
Well, it didn't.
But
in our heads,
felt
the way we like,
which is
doing things.
Which is why that, like, you know, an artist judging their own art is not a good.
Oh yeah.
A good thing, because the record is what it is, and it's a great album. You know, but yeah,
that's why you also you hear people like directors or whatever being like, oh, like it doesn't feel finished to me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how
that's how that album feels. Yeah.
But like to someone else, it's just like, oh, that's cool. Like that's like a cool record, or
because they
weren't
there for the making of it.
Yeah. But and always in my head, it's like, ooh, there's like,
we could have done this. We could have done that. Yeah.
Which I don't have with any other record.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what makes it what it is.
Yeah. And that's what makes it, you know, one of the most important records that we've ever made.
Also, the timing in that for me personally was a really weird zone. It was like right when I started having like panic attacks, and I never had them before. And that was like when we started that, it was like boom, like every day I'd have one, and it was like that feeling. There's just like I would almost like just like tunnel. Like I remember recording Kennedy Curse, and one part like it was really dark in there, and then like I almost fucking passed out because I was like mid recording, I was having a panic attack.
Yeah,
and it fucking sucked. It was just like such a weird time, like mentally in my head, that I wonder if any of that like fucking crept in at all.
Yeah.
I know John was in a really weird spot too. I know that was like it was just dark.
Yeah.
Dark times.
Yeah. You know, and sometimes the dark times bring out good music, but it makes it harder to look back on it, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think I think like just over time that record keeps like meaning more and more to people.
Well, I keep wanting to play
So-
I want to play Forever Halloween like all the time, like the song.
Yeah.
Like I want to do it like all the time.
Yeah.
And then it's so fun. Like when we actually start doing it, it's just like, ooh, this is extremely slow.
Yeah.
I mean, but like, I always like playing Kenny Curtis. I love
Oh, yeah.
Run is like, I mean, it's like kind of like a staple in most of the sets. Like,
Yeah.
I think the ways we do it live, I think kind of show like we change a lot in those songs.
It's
and
like
I think
what we would have done. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think it's like, because I mean we played Kennedy Curse from
Heavy,
the get go,
yeah.
the way we heard it.
Yeah.
Like we play it like super heavy,
Yeah.
and I mean, but we've played that since the first time we toured on it, like toured with it.
Yeah.
So it's like I think from the beginning there was like that, like, oh, this isn't done.
Yeah, and like with like Run, we've done all kinds of different things to that song.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It is what it is.
that's that record, and thanks for listening to it.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving us a chance to take a risk.
Yeah, I mean the fact I there's something about the fact that we survived Pioneer and Forever Halloween says a lot of like the people who listen to us. And,
Yeah,
like,
I mean we have people that give a crap like past just like the surface level of being into a song. They want to like dive into a record and what it means and all that stuff that for us is really important.
and like the stuff that we do with other bands too,
Yeah.
So it's pretty wild. I think in even mentally that we got past those records. I think.
Yeah.
I guess we're gonna be around for a little while.
Yeah. We're gonna be a band.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like being in a band.
Yeah, we should keep doing it. Cool. We should keep doing it. So cool, man. Well, I think we're gonna keep messing around with this. I think maybe we'll dive into other records and other things and other parts and time periods and then just talk to and
Yeah, we'll get. I feel like the more and more we do it, the more we can be like, just say whatever we're feeling.
Yeah.
All right, so this podcast is brought to you by Saying Whatever You're Feeling. Go to saywhateveryourfeeling.com/org, and you can say whatever you're feeling. So thank you very much, Patrick.
Yeah, man. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.